You just got out of your anxious avoidant relationship. You never ever want to repeat it again. You want to steer clear from unhealed avoidance as quickly as possible. How do we determine who is an avoidant while we're dating? Well, I'm realizing now that there are a few signs that I disregarded of my last partner who was extremely avoidant. And here are some of the things that I now look back on and I think, okay, that's probably a red flag going forward in this dating world. When I see this in people, I should steer clear. The first date, I felt like I was filling in all the spaces. I was doing all of the talking. I was trying to make a safe place for myself because what I didn't realize was subconsciously I was feeling unsafe in his presence. And not necessarily because he's a bad, evil person, but just because my instincts were telling me that this was not going to be a good match. This was not going to be a safe place, whatever. But I, of course, discounted that as butterflies and continued to try to fill the empty spaces of conversation so that I could feel connected to him. I could feel intimate with him. I also realized within the first month of dating that he would have periods of time where his communication would become very inconsistent. He would drop off the radar and I wouldn't hear from him for hours at a time. And in fact, this continued throughout the duration of the relationship and was one of our main problems. So I think in the very beginning, they will show you their cards and their words will not match their actions. So when you bring it up to them, hey, you went quiet for 3 hours. That was weird. What happened? Did I do something? Or something along those lines. They will turn it back on you in many cases and make you out to be the insecure one, quote, insecurely attached, and completely downplay their actions. But don't look at words, look at actions. If they fall off the radar for hours at a time and their communication is inconsistent, that's a sign that they could be avoidant. Another red flag, which seems pretty counterintuitive at this point, like I should have known, but if they call all of their exes crazy, if they tell you stories about exes who were extremely emotional or abusive, that's usually a sign that they're very uncomfortable with intense emotions. That doesn't mean that exes can't be abusive, yada, yada. Like, we don't need to have caveats all the time, do we, people? Like, you understand what I'm saying. If all of his exes were crazy, then that's a sign that he doesn't handle emotion very well. They will say things in the beginning like, why do I always have to make a big thing out of this? Why do I always have to be thinking of something? Sometimes I'm just not thinking of anything. Sometimes I'm just not feeling any certain way. And this is in your bids for connection with them. This shows you that they have a way of disassociating or shutting off parts of themselves that are very emotional, that they're uncomfortable with emotions. These are some of the signs I saw in my relationship, which he was extremely highly avoidant. So I think that all of these things are good indicators and red flags in the beginning.